Yeah, spot on. You know, sitting here with the stats and look at it, you know, 25 to 21 box entries, 16 shots to 13 to us, and 7 on target to 5 on target for them. And this should have been a game that should have ended 3-3, because Canada had the chances as well. Let's be real. You know, in the second half, 1-1 with the goalkeepers 3 times, you know. But we also had 2 of those, and 3 with Vine coming in the second half. So it's a bit unbelievable that it ends 1-0 to Canada, to be honest. And we talked about it in the circle, and we talked about it yesterday in this training as well. A game like this is most likely going to be decided on conversion rate in goal zones. We had a lot of focus on final pass and finishing, and it's just one of those days. Sometimes, you know, another game we score 3, now it's the game. We've seen it before, over and over again. You know, not just for us. I mean, in the game of football, we've seen it, but it's definitely something we need to work on for sure. Yeah, like I said before, it's going to be a little bit of a different game where it's a great opportunity for Charlie and Courtney with less experience to experience some of the world's class wide forward like Prince. Her speed and her 1v1 is amazing, and Charlotte doesn't shy away from a challenge. You know, if you look at her first half against her, it was only one single time that Prince got a shot on goal, and that was outside of the box. Otherwise, she neutralized her completely in that first half. In the second half, when we started to open up and go for a goal, it was more spaces. We got a little bit more vulnerable, and they got in behind us. And we know it's one of the best transition team in the world, and obviously with Alana going down as well, and the changes we did. But in that first half, they actually didn't get into our goals on one single time. They had 2 shots outside of the box, one worldie in the upper 90. Congratulations, what do you say, you know? And then that Prince shot, and that's all they got in the first 45. In the second, like I said, when we opened up, I think we got exposed on the counter a bit too easy.
We're going to take a couple of questions for Katrina Gorry so that she can head in and change. So if you've got any questions for Katrina.
Katrina, back in Brisbane, it must have been stoked up. Obviously, you've had a year out back home, and it must be great joy to be back. What do you make of the way you play?
Yeah, definitely. It's always nice to be back in Brisbane and playing in Suncorp Stadium. I've played here quite a few times, but never for the national team, so it was really nice to be back here. But yeah, just disappointed that we came away with the loss, and for me, I can always be better. I think I needed to control the midfield a bit better today, and keep the ball a bit more. So it's definitely something that I'll work on in the leading into the next game.
Do you enjoy playing with Fowler? She's a talent half. What do you make of her?
Yeah, definitely. It's hard not to stop on the field and watch her work her magic. You know, she can turn on a dime, and it's just really nice to be able to play into a player like that, and know that she'll keep the ball and do something special every time she gets on the ball. So I've loved watching her progress through the ranks in the last couple of years, and yeah, I can't wait for the next few years.
Matt.
It was almost a direct sort of match up there with Christine Sinclair in the number 10 position with Canada in that game, who's obviously got incredible pedigree, legendary striker in her own right. What was it like coming up against a player of that kind of pedigree in the game?
Yeah, to be honest, I don't really think about it when I get on the field. It's just red jerseys. It doesn't matter about the name on the back of the jersey. For me, it was just playing my game and trying to intercept as many balls and tackle as many players as I possibly could, and build up from there.
Just one more from the floor, then we'll head online. Any for Katrina?
Into that number 6 role against Katrina, and Tony's talked in the past about how much that influences the way the rest of the team plays. What do you feel you're learning about yourself in your own football in that holding midfield role, but still trying to create those opportunities going forward?
Yeah, I think it's for me about a balance. Sometimes I get too eager to get a bit too far forward and not balance the team properly. But yeah, I think the more us midfielders can get on the ball, the more control we usually have of the game. So I'm still learning and building, but I think coming up against a team like Canada playing a bit of a different formation, I've got to find spaces on the field, and I think that's something that I can definitely work on coming up against different strikers and being blocked different ways. So still learning, but really enjoying the position, and it's nice playing with players like Mary Fowler and Emily Van Egmond, just being able to play into the pockets and know they'll secure the ball and do something special.
Just a couple from online, and these are questions for Katrina only. Sam Lewis.
Thanks, Anne. Yeah, sorry, I didn't hear the question earlier, but Katrina, I'm curious. Yesterday, Tony said, he was asked a question about the number 6 role, and he said that, show me who your number 6 is, and I'll show you how the team plays. So in that sense, how do you view yourself in this particular position, and how do you want to improve that going forward?
Yeah, like I said in the last answer, I think for me it's about working out where I can find the spaces in the different formations and how I can help the team in that way, whether it's a bounce ball or getting on the ball straight away. I think most of the play usually goes through the six and through our midfield because we do have such a strong attacking force. So I think if we can get the ball into the midfield, we usually create a lot of chances, and that's our role, and I think that's where we can do better.
Final question for Katrina, Chris Gorman.
Sorry. Michelle Prince got a lot of intercepts and was quite aggressive today. She managed to get in the box quite a few times. What are your plans to contain her for the next match?
I think, to be honest, I think Charlie did really well in the first half, like Tony said. She's a great 1v1 player, and she's a tough attacker to keep under wraps, but I think if we play like we did in the first half and keep her to minimal chances, I think we'll keep the game a little bit less competitive.
Great. Thanks very much for your time, Katrina. I'll let you go.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, back to the room. Questions for Tony Gustavsson.
Tony, with the windows coming, less heading into the cup, next year. What do you need to see on Tuesday night? It's an improvement from today.
Well, to be honest, I'll be honest here, we came into this window with a little bit of a different mindset because we knew we had only 11 games and 11 pre-training sessions and then 10 proper football sessions left until the World Cup roster is going to be announced. And we wanted to narrow down on coherency and consistency and maybe not experiment as much as we've done before and invest in the depth as much as we've done in the last 18 months. But we also want to be able to adapt to change, and we had to adapt now with all the injuries, and now we have to adapt to Alana's injury as well. So we have 8 kind of starters from the Olympics out. That means we need to look at this game a little bit different. What is the answers that we need to get on individual players as well, not just a collective. Maybe we have more of a collective focus going into the camp, but we had to change that a bit. Like today, for example, Charlotte Grant get the chance to play against one of the world's best 1v1 players on the left side. What an experience for her. Spain, Portugal, and now this. And she has played very limited minutes in clubland because she hasn't been in that 11, which surprised me big time. But this is huge for her in terms of individual development. But as a team, it's obviously a challenge, right? So I think what we need to do is we need to look at this game, package it, and then go into Tuesday and see, can we execute? You see when we play our best football what we can do. But I said going into this camp, I want to see it in longer periods of the game. And again, today I'm a bit disappointed that we didn't see it in longer periods. Because when we do play good, we can dominate a game both defensively and attacking-wise. And I think you saw in the last 15 what this team is about. There's, the never say die attitude was there, and the game changer was there, and we create 3 chances to score a goal in the last 15 minutes. That we're also going to keep, meaning it's not just about improving, it's about also sharpening the things we're already good at and keep working on those things.
Most of the chances that we spoke about before, about probably 5 or 6 fell to Sam. She normally put at least one or 2 away. That's just an off day, for her.
Yeah, we know Sam from before. Everyone's seen Sam both in club and country. She's a pure goal scorer, a world-class goal scorer, and other days she scores 3 tonight. And score a hat trick, and everyone, is really happy, and she's happy. She's the first person to be angry that she didn't convert, and we're not going to make a big deal of that. We know, it's one of those days. We've been around enough to not make a big deal of it. She's a world-class forward. She can score, and it's just keep focusing and working on those details. But also what we need to work on is our final pass to set her up for success, because a couple of times when she finishes, she has to do a lot of work on the ball herself. Like cross, for example, if she has to go here and bend it to kind of score, she has to do a lot of work on the ball to actually score. And she's phenomenal on that as well. But it's also the final pass, how we set her up. Yeah, I think, Minnie is the one that's hardest on herself. I think she's a bit too humble, to be honest, because I think, she's a phenomenal quarterback in that 6 role. We spoke about it the first 50 minutes in the game. She took a little bit too many touches and got dispossessed, and I think that's what she referenced. And we talk about that, hey, let's clean it up, Minnie, you can do better. And she did, and then she grew into the game and kind of dominated that midfield. But the one thing that I'm surprised about is the physicality she brings in there. She doesn't shy away from a tackle, whether it's a slide tackle or in the air or in a 50-50 duel. She doesn't hesitate. Mary, I think, struggled a bit in defending today. We spoke about that. Her intense in pressing, so we got a bit stretched. Her attacking game was phenomenal. Like when you play her in and she have a player on her back and you spin on a dime and then plays player in, I think she's phenomenal. Her shot from distance, she could have a couple of opportunities when she, we know what she can do on the top of the box. And in a good day, she scores on one of those.
So it's really defence is what you want to get right.
Yeah, because I think we weren't intense enough in the first half, even though they didn't create much. But I don't think we were intense enough. We come out in the second half. We were a bit disappointed in halftime, all of us, and said, "Hey, let's go out and put some tackles in there. They're on our house, our home soil. Let's be. That's what we're about." And I think we were much more physical in the second half.
Tony, what's the specific injury with Alana, and are you expecting to be without her on Tuesday? And also, do you have any concerns with your defensive depth in defensive stocks and centre backs?
Yeah, the only thing I've heard so far is that there's something with the hamstring. That's all I've heard, so I keep it for that right now. And obviously they're going to look at her. From experience, I know when it's a hamstring, normally you don't come back that fast as to a Tuesday game. But I don't want to speculate. But my experience says she most likely won't play. When it comes to the depth, like I've said, we have invested in these 18 months in options. Courtney and Nevin have played with left-footed centre-back for us. Ivy Loic has played, and she's, by the way, been phenomenal in Häcken in the Swedish league as of late. So in that sense, we have some clear options in the back. But obviously, when you're missing 3 key starters with Ellie, Steph, and Alana, it's going to be influenced somehow.
Are you able to bring in anybody as cover with all these injuries before Tuesday? And if so, would you experiment with someone maybe playing locally at the moment, or do you have anyone in mind?
We've actually already spoken a little bit about it and going to pick up that conversation tonight. So you're onto something we already started to talk about, but we don't really know how to do that yet. Well, I'll come back to that with an answer hopefully tomorrow.
All right, we're going to go ahead onto online. Can you please use your raise your hand function? Any questions from online? Okay, any final questions from in the room? Oh, hang on, sorry, Sam Lewis.
Sorry, I complete fumble there. Tony, you sort of mentioned pre-game and after the squad announcement that you wanted to try and clarify, I suppose, the way that this team is playing. It felt like it was quite choppy and changey. That the whole game sort of there were moments and patches where there were periods of dominance, but then there were periods of almost complete sort of chaos. What do you sort of put that down to, and how do you plan on addressing it going forward?
Well, first of all, I think you're completely right in your analysis. I think it was like a little bit of a roller coaster performance-wise. When we're on those highs and play the way we want to, we move the ball fast. We have a lot of interchanges. We break lines. We get into the final third, and when we lose it, we're really, really aggressive in our regain. And then when it comes to goal kick for the opposition and in their build-up phase, we're kind of in their face and a very aggressive team to win the ball high, to transition from there. When we see those moments, I think you see who we try to be, who we want to be. And when we're not, I think there's a couple of reasons to that. You saw a lot of technical mistakes today. The women's football, world football today, the women's game, the tempo of play you saw in the Euros as well is just amazingly fast right now. So you have very, very limited time on the ball. And I think some of those decision-making and the touches of the ball make it that way. Maybe look chaotic because Canada transition a lot. That's one reason. The other reason is I think we got stretched in our defensive positions at times. When we want to be an aggressive team that press, at times you're going to be stretched and you're going to end up in a 1v2 situation in midfield at times like we did, for example. And it looks chaotic because it gets reactive in our defensive actions. So it looks a little bit all over the place because we want to be that intense in pressing. So we have definitely some work to do to be more compact, still be aggressive, and we need to clean up the technical mistake and be more clinical in terms of how fast we move the ball. And I said that before, we tried to play the exact same way as we played against New Zealand, There's actually some similarity tactically between New Zealand and Canada. Canada is obviously ranked much higher, and we said, can we play the same way against the top team in the world? And I think we did at times. I really do. And to put a little bit perspective on it, I also think we created a lot of chances enough chances to actually score on Canada as well, which is very difficult to do with a very different team that maybe normally would have been out there today if players were available.
Just conscious of the time, we've got time for one final question from the floor.
Building on Sam's question, you've spoken about that striving for that 90-minute performance with players not drifting in and out of games. There's still a defensive lapse in the first half that gave that opportunity. Do you feel like you're getting closer to the 90-minute performance?
I feel we're taking steps towards seeing the same page. But when you do as many changes as you do today, similar for Canada, there was two very different teams out there today. So the game itself wasn't really solid for either of the team. It was a bit, forth and back and spaces and, a bit different game. And I think it's also because some of the players hasn't played that much together. And that's one perspective of it. But like I said before, I do think that when we play the way we want to play, we can beat Canada. I know we can. We might not be... Klopp said something when it came to Liverpool. They said, hey, we might not be the best team in the world, but we can beat the best team in the world. And I think that's a little bit us as well. We might not be the best team in the world, but we know we can beat the best team in the world. And I think we saw that tonight as well. We can beat Canada if we play at the level that we know we can play at.